My name is Harish Shahzad, and I recently graduated from aerospace engineering. My track was aerodynamics and wind energy, and more specifically, my profile was aerodynamics. The research group over here is really focused on fundamental fluid research, and the courses really train you to develop a very good sort of foundation to do research in this particular topic. And I looked at the courses, I looked at what I liked, and yeah, it was pretty natural, I think, to go for this. So I chose this track because I was really interested in fluid mechanics, and all the courses over here sort of aligned with my interest. You have different courses like viscous flows and aircraft aerodynamics, and those are really like focused on strengthening your foundation of fluid mechanics. So that's why I chose this track in particular. The track is very, I would say, intensive. So you have a lot of courses where you have to submit different sort of assignments and stuff, and you don't really have a lot of written exams. So, and for those, I mean, those oral exams, you really have to have a very strong foundation, a very strong base. So the course is very intensive. It's very mathematical. Some of the assignments are basically you just doing a lot of maths going through it. So it's tough for someone who doesn't have a background in, let's say, fluid mechanics. But overall, it's very enjoyable. And at the end of the year, at the end of the day, you learn a lot. And yeah, it's enjoyable, but at the same time, it's quite intensive. The track is sort of split into aerodynamics and wind energy. The aerodynamics part really goes into the fundamentals, of aerodynamics and fluid mechanics in general. So you have like viscous flows, then you have gas dynamics, which is like high speed flow, Mach number greater than 1 when flow is like faster than the speed of sound. And then you have wind energy, and that goes more into the design of wind turbines. Not that you can't do like, you can also mix courses sort of between the two. There's already a lot of overlap, but then you focus a bit more on wind turbines, and then you also go a bit into aeroelasticity. So yeah. Well, you have huge wind tunnels here at altitude of the kind you don't really have anywhere else, to be honest. I mean, there are a few smaller wind tunnels that are of the type that you would maybe expect in a university, but like, for example, the OJF that we see at the back, like this is a huge wind tunnel and not something that you would expect in other universities. But so you have these wind tunnels. You also have the anechoic wind tunnel, which is like sort of like a soundproof wind tunnel where they do measurements of sound. So the open jet facility is like when you want to test like really large models. So they test, for example, like wind turbines, like slightly smaller models of wind turbines even over here. Then you have other wind tunnels, which are, for example, you have the subsonic wind tunnel, which I believe is called the W tunnel. And I mean, that's for like smaller models, and that's what you would expect in a regular university, like the kind of wind tunnels. But then we also have transonic wind tunnels, where you have flow which is approximately equal to the speed of sound, like going at the speed of sound. And then you even have supersonic wind tunnels over here, which is quite fascinating, I would say. So from the faculty, I would say there were several. So viscous flows was quite good because it sort of helps you understand the maths behind everything. The assignment is very mathematical. So when you're going through it and sometimes you can't figure it out, it's a bit frustrating, but when you manage to do it, it's quite satisfying. Then there was rotor wake, and where you sort of try to understand what panel codes are. And at the start of the course, you're like, how do these codes actually work? And you get 3 really tough assignments. But at the end of the course, when you actually understand panel codes, it's really fascinating. So those 2, I would say, were my favorite ones from the faculty. Then there was another one which was turbulence, which is one elective of the aerodynamics and wind energy profile, but it's offered in 3ME, and that was also really nice. And the course is very detailed. It's quite tough. The exam is quite tough, but you really understand how turbulence is, which is I mean, and you realize that it's just not random fluctuation. It's like it has an order, and when you sort of, and that course helps you picture that sort of order in this what seemingly random, yeah, random flow. So I would say rotor wake was rather challenging, because the concepts are quite new. You go from mostly studying like steady aerodynamics to unsteady aerodynamics, and then I mean there you have like three quite lengthy, quite difficult assignments that you have to do, and do that in a short span of time is sometimes a bit hectic. So I would say that was a bit difficult. It exceeded my expectations, I would say, because I came in wanting to learn about fluid mechanics, and I think by the time I graduated, that I mean, of course, you can't say you learned anything because there's still a whole lot still left to learn. But I feel like I have managed to build up a strong foundation, and that I mean, DUDEV has helped me a lot with that. I am someone who's sort of research oriented and who wants to continue doing research. I feel like it has given me the abilities, particularly the second year when you do your master thesis, to sort of not only sort of apply the concept that you learn in your first year into your research and going forward. I feel like a lot of the times when what you learn in class is sort of disconnected from what you actually apply. But like in this case, they really train you to do like good research, and like those concepts carry forward quite well. So in general, I would say if you're trying to choose a master track, you should look at what you like, look at the courses, and see if those correspond. Particularly for the aerodynamics and wind energy, just be prepared that it's going to be very mathematical. Be prepared that it's going to be very fundamental, and it's going to train you very well, but it's going to be very intensive. But just, I mean, if maths is not something that interests you, then perhaps this track is that it might be a bit difficult for you. I think it has a very, very good mix of preparing you both for research and for industry. And I mean, when you think about the industry and aerodynamics, you think of, well, motorsports, for example. So I mean, to someone who would like to go, for example, work in F1 or something, this is a really, really nice place to come, because they teach you about so many different things. They teach you how to perform experiments. They teach you how to perform numerical simulations. I, for example, went towards numerical simulations. So that really sort of prepares you very well for the industry and everything. But also, I mean, it's also quite fundamental. So it also prepares you very well for research. Yeah, and yeah, I think that's it, I would say.